You're not crazy. The United States really is slowly falling apart, and those in power are not stopping that destruction. For them, it's an opportunity. The country's debt is now at a final stage of $34.9 trillion. 61% of people are just trying to survive on their monthly income. More than 12 million people are behind on rent payments. 68% of counties no longer have a local newspaper. That means no news, no accountability, no warning, just decline. Slow, silent, and deliberate. The food supply chain is breaking. The power grid is at risk. The military cannot properly staff itself. And most Americans still believe that working harder will fix everything. It won't. This is not the result of incompetence. This is a controlled demolition. America's water infrastructure is quietly collapsing, and no one is talking about it. Clean water is not guaranteed. This is not a fear of some distant future. It is happening now. The American Society of Civil Engineers gave our water infrastructure a C grade. What does that mean? Old pipes, damaged sewers, failing treatment plants, and a distribution network that loses 6 billion gallons of water daily, a state comparable to third world countries. Jackson's entire water system failed. Residents in Baltimore are drinking toxic water. Also, PFAS, the forever chemicals that can cause small cancers, are now found in 45% of tap water. Rural towns are patching with old pipes and duct tape. The cost to rebuild the entire country will be $1.1 trillion over the next 25 years. And ordinary people are paying that bill. You, me, the average working American. But the rich and hedge funds are taking advantage, buying public water systems, raising rates, and we watch our basic resource, water, being sold, polluted, and neglected. While you scroll social media, the pipes under your feet are rusting, a crisis one rupture away. When everything fails, FEMA will not save you. There will be no bottled water. People will have to boil pond water, and will wonder why a wealthy country's pipelines were not fixed. Now let's talk about the children. I'm not talking about some distant future generation. I mean your child, your sibling's child, or the neighbor's just graduated 22-year-old. They are growing up in an environment where independent living is extremely difficult. Student loan debt in the U.S. is now over $1.177 trillion. That number is shocking, but the reality is worse. People are paying $900 a month for degrees that later prove useless. It's not just loans. Generation Z is coming of age in a financial environment as harsh as any since the Great Depression. The average one-bedroom rent is now $11,700 per year. The average credit score for 18 to 24-year-olds is below 650. This is not personal failure. It's a system designed to keep them from getting by. Credit cards are their emergency fund, the buy now, pay later model. Worse, more than 50% of entry-level jobs now ask for 3 years of experience, with pay under $40,000. How are they supposed to survive? Eggs now cost more than rent. Over 60% of Gen Z young people are just getting by on wages alone. The number of people over 25 living with their parents is the highest in history. They are not lazy. The system has closed off paths to independence. They will likely be the first generation to earn less than their parents. Now, a jab about retirement and the future. The ideas, work hard, pay into Social Security, peacefully retire at 65, are false. Median retirement savings are only $134,000. According to Fidelity, average healthcare costs for a couple are $315,000, and trust funds could be strained by 2033. Retirement is being stolen, while CEOs remain safe with golden parachutes. You are not retiring. You're just moving from one kind of wage slavery to another, slower kind. The situation is so dire that tech stock bonuses are the only reliable thing. Inflation is eating away your $134,000. Grocery bills, medical premiums, property taxes. Over 20% of people over 65 are working again because they need to. They're delivering Amazon packages, running cash registers, even if they're healthy. This is not just numbers, it's lived reality. Our young people are trapped in credit, loans, rent, food, and healthcare costs, and what they expect, independence, security, retirement, is not possible for them. Everyone talks about the economy, the border, debt, but very few notice that the greatest disaster is unfolding in the institution built to ensure the country's security,
the U.S. military. And truthfully, it is deteriorating much faster than people want to admit. In 2023, the Army, Navy, and Air Force all failed to meet their recruitment goals. The Army is short by 10,000 soldiers. The Navy is nearly 20% below target. These are not just numbers, they're a major national security warning. Why the problem? It's not that Americans don't want to serve. They can't. About 75% of 17 to 24-year-olds are unfit for military service, mainly due to obesity, mental health issues, drug use, or criminal records. That means 3 out of 4 are ineligible. And those who are eligible often don't join. Retention rates are falling fast. Why? Housing problems, base childcare waiting lists of 6 months, pay not keeping up with inflation, junior soldiers standing in food lines. A 2024 RAND report found nearly a quarter of families on active duty suffer from food insecurity. The Navy is using worn-out ships to keep fleets running. The Air Force relies on 40-year-old bombs and broken training simulators. China builds 10 new warships a year, and we don't have enough mechanics. We are not ready for war. Not with China, not with anyone. Our military-industrial complex is weak at providing human services, but strong at making profits. The system is exhausted, aging, and suffering from lack of people. No one in D.C. cares. But when the real crisis comes, we'll understand. We have hollowed out the force that could have protected us. Now let's turn our attention to the power grid. It is a genuine time bomb. I am not speaking metaphorically. The largest cities and rural towns alike face catastrophe. The 2024 North American Electric Reliability Corporation report says that during extreme weather, 2/3 of the United States population could lose power. 2/3 means roughly more than 220 million people when power is needed most. Imagine what happened in Texas in 2021. Now imagine that happening across the entire country. Why is this happening? Because our grid is old. Many transformers date to the 1960s, and 500,000 miles of high-voltage lines are running at the edge of capacity. There's no redundancy. If something breaks, repairs can take years. Major power outages more than doubled from 2000 to 2022. Floods, hurricanes, wildfires, any event, the grid is unprepared. And the terrible part? Replacing a high-voltage transformer can take more than 2 years. These are custom-made, and we now import most transformers from South Korea and Germany. If a cyber attack or solar storm destroys a critical node, we won't just be inconvenienced. Millions will be without power for weeks or months. Refrigeration, heating, water pressure, internet, all off. Nobody will come fix it quickly. Yet some companies are wasting time increasing shareholder dividends instead of modernizing. Demand from electric vehicles and data centers will grow about 20% in the next decade. Pressure rises on a system that is already fragile. This is not about green or red politics. This is about survival. The grid is fragile, funding is lacking, fate is grim. The question is not if it will break, but when. Meanwhile, local newspapers are disappearing. You think you know what's happening from social media. No, CNN or Fox News are not reporting on a local sewer leak or a school board budget cut. Since 2005, more than 3,500 newspapers have closed. 2 close every week. These are news deserts. Independent journalism is gone, replaced by profit-driven companies. AI now scrapes content and helps cut journalists. As a result, misinformation spreads. Facebook mom groups, TikTok conspiracies. Voter participation falls, corruption rises, citizens' harms go unreported. A pillar of democracy is crumbling, and no one in Washington cares. When the Fourth Estate dies, the First Amendment remains only on paper. One day you'll wake up, you'll understand who runs your city and what they're doing with your money. America's food system is now moving toward continual collapse. Look at prices. A dozen eggs, $6, milk, $5, beef so expensive it's become a luxury for ordinary people. But the problem isn't just inflation. These are early signs of the breakdown of the entire agricultural system. In the last 40 years, half of small farms have been lost. Big corporate megafarms are swallowing everything. Their goal is not food production for communities, but commodity production for export. Corn, soy, wheat, all for fuel, processed fast food, and the global market. The average farmer is now 59. Young people cannot buy land, cannot get loans, and cannot survive on thin margins, so they don't try. The Ogallala Aquifer, which irrigates 30% of U.S. crops, is drying up. Large areas of Kansas and Nebraska could become permanent desert within 2 decades. The USDA is effectively absent. California's orchards burn, Midwestern cornfields flood, Ukraine's war and India's drought, the global grain market is unstable. The result? Food insecurity. Meanwhile, what you eat is often of poor quality. 60% of the average American diet is ultra-processed. Every day you consume seed oils, synthetic preservatives, emulsifiers, and sugar. Eating clean costs 3 times more. CEOs of Tyson, Cargill, and Nestle are getting rich, while ordinary people are squeezed between rent, food, and nutrition. Farms, water, and nutrition all face crisis. A small shock, a cyber attack, a severe drought, a new war could end everything. Shelves will be empty, possibly permanently. America's mental health crisis has grown to the scale of a national emergency. We're seeing mental collapse across the country. CDC reports say 1/3 of adult Americans suffer from anxiety or depression. Nearly 90 million people are keeping themselves okay every day. Suicide rates are at their highest since the Great Depression. Among 10 to 24-year-olds, suicide is the second leading cause of death. This is not a TikTok or iPhone problem. It is a failure of the whole system. Parents work 2 jobs and still lose their homes. Teenagers watch their futures evaporate. College students are buried in 6-figure loans, working 50 hours and still skipping meals. Veterans receive flags, not trauma counseling. Working mothers can't afford therapy. Millions of men are trapped in silent despair. What is the government doing? Cutting programs, shrinking budgets. Since 1955, the number of mental health beds has fallen 94%. Over half of counties have no licensed mental health provider. The average wait to see a licensed mental health professional is 48 days. Fees, $150. Insurance coverage is limited. Finding someone in-network is hard. We are collectively sick, and no one is solving the root problems. It is quiet, insidious, and everywhere. If unaddressed, it could destroy the entire country.
America's justice system is not broken. It is working exactly as designed. Criminals with money get out. Poor people get lifelong imprisonment for minor offenses. This is not a failure. It is an effective, profit-driven punishment machine. More than 2.1 million people are incarcerated in the United States. That is 4 times the population rate of China. 60% of those imprisoned are still not convicted because they are poor. In this country, justice depends on one thing: your bank account. Civil asset forfeiture. Police seize property without proof. Billions flow each year. Who profits? Private prisons, the court system, city budgets, police unions. Punishment is a business. Poverty is criminalized. The foundations of democracy erode. Media, politicians, even many smart people do not see the full picture. 94% of the time, the highest spending candidate wins congressional elections. Corporations, lobbyists, and billionaires profit from every policy and rule. Facial recognition, voter rolls, AI deepfakes, all are eating away freedoms. The Supreme Court has rolled back environmental protections, civil rights, and voting safeguards. This is not democracy, it is corporate feudalism. Freedom is being re-rented at a premium. We did not lose the country at once. It happened slowly, in silence. America is not being destroyed only by external attack or natural disaster. It is being dismantled from within, and we are all watching quietly.